this lecture, we are going to be talking about the 4 stages of learning that each and every person would go through. It is highly correlated with mind maps. It is one of the essential tools and essential systems to understand in order for you to not just build your mind map effectively, but elaborate upon it and execute it, put it into action effectively. First off, unconscious incompetence. I'll give you an example. You are a business owner and you wanted to start marketing your services or your product. Now you know that having a website is important for your marketing, putting out flyers is also important, sending out emails is important, but you did not realize that Facebook marketing and Facebook ads can be one of the main core topics that you can use, one of the main systems that you can basically use to get to the marketing goal you're trying to achieve. This is the unconscious incompetence. You were not conscious. You did not know, you were not aware that Facebook ads are a part of the marketing system that you need to put into execution. You are not aware of that because you're in an unconscious incompetence phase. Now, once you did some research and you figured out that Facebook ads are one of the main sources that can drive traffic on your website and into your business, you are going into the conscious incompetence phase. Now you are aware that you don't have the skill set to use Facebook ads and Facebook marketing properly. Conscious incompetence phase is basically the part where you realize that there's something you don't know, and opposed to the unconscious incompetence phase where you did not even realize that there's something you need to use that you do not actually know. Now afterwards, you will start working on it. You'll go on YouTube, you'll buy a course, and you'll start learning how to basically use Facebook ads and Facebook marketing. Once you do learn it and you start putting it into perspective, you start actually executing upon it, you get into the conscious competence phase. When you're building your Facebook ads, you will not be able to do it automatically and naturally. Sometimes you're going to go through certain questions, you're going to go through some phases or some stages where you need to go back to the course or to other YouTube videos or to other articles to make sure that you got all the loopholes covered. This is the conscious competence phase. Now you are aware of your competence, but you did not reach this mastery level yet. When you do, when you practice it, when it's been a year that you're working on Facebook ads, building marketing campaigns, you move into the unconscious competence level. When you're building Facebook ads to promote your business or your services, or you're creating a Facebook marketing campaign, you can do it naturally and automatically. You don't have to consciously think about the steps you need to follow. You unconsciously have all the ideas that you need in your head. It's just like driving a car. First off, you think that driving is so easy. You did not realize that you don't actually know how to drive. You're unconsciously incompetent. Then you realize that, you went to try to drive a car and you realize that you can't actually drive it properly. This is you going into the conscious incompetence phase. Now you realize that you are incompetent when it comes to driving a car. Now you start practicing a lot and you get into the conscious competence phase where you can drive, but you are stressed, you're a bit anxious, you're looking everywhere. You need to make sure that you're following all the necessary steps that you learn for you to drive safely and properly. Now once you've been driving for like a year, you move into the unconscious competence phase where you don't even have to think about how you're driving, you just automatically do it. You have everything figured out. So when you're steering, for example, you don't have to put in this effort to focus on how you're specifically steering. It just unconsciously happens. You just do it naturally until you reach the last phase, which is mastery. You master the skill set, knowledge, and specifications of anything you're trying to learn. So when you go through those 4 stages of learning, you start at the first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage. Now when you reach the 4th stage, the unconscious competence, and you've been practicing and elaborating upon the unconscious competence system, after a few years, maybe after a while, you'll reach the mastery level where you don't just unconsciously know that you're competent, but you are good enough to not just do it yourself, but you can even teach it to other people. Now, when you're building your mind map, oftentimes you might run into some ideas, some topics in your branches that you're not aware of. You have your core idea, you do some research, and you figure out some branches or topics of discussion that you need to use to execute and follow upon the core idea properly. But you notice that you don't actually know how these branches or topics operate properly. This is you going into the unconscious incompetence. First off, you did not even know that you don't know how to operate these branches or topics. And once you have them in your mind map, now you move to the conscious incompetence phase. You know that these topics or those branches are important, but you're also conscious that you're incompetent to develop them and use them. And then you start learning, you start practicing to move into the conscious competence phase. Now you're consciously competent, that you know consciously how to use it, what skill set it requires, and you've been practicing it for a bit and you know the basics and essentials. As you start working on it more, you do the sub-branches, you get the details, and you work on each and every point behind those details. You'll move into the unconscious competence phase where you don't even have to think about the branch and the details. You can just do it naturally and automatically, as we said before, until after a while of practice, you reach the mastery level. Some research suggests that if you want to master any topic, you need to put in 10,000 hours of work. If you work on anything for 10,000 hours, you will master it. So this is one example for you to reach mastery. Once you reach the unconscious competence phase, it might take you 10,000 hours of work to master the topic properly. It's a long journey, but at this point, you become an expert where you can use it to help other people, you can teach it to other people, you reach the expert level. Now, in my opinion, if you are working hard, 10,000 hours, you will become an expert in the field. But if you're working smart, if you're using your mind maps to learn each and every one of the skill sets or topic that are necessary to build this mastery factor, you might not need more than 5,000 hours to master it. So not only are you using the 4 stages of learning, you're including it and basically having this implemented system where you're using those stages through the mind maps. So not just are you working hard, but you're also working smart to make sure after a while that you will reach the mastery level.